So the last 2 weeks, I've had my notepad out on my phone, and every time something I've learned, I've written it down because I want to share it with you guys on YouTube. Now, first thing, true peak levels on Final Masters. I ran a little test, a sneaky under the radar test, where for the last 2 weeks, any masters I sent out to new clients, I only sent out -1 decibel true peak and an MP3 version. So I never sent out the -0 decibel true peak I usually send out. I usually send out 3, -0, -1 for Apple Digital Masters and 320. But I said, well, what happens if I only send out the -1? And the reason is because we've had this huge debate in the mastering community about it. And conclusively, we can all say it is better and safer to finish your masters at -1 decibel true peak, especially when it gets put onto other platforms, it gets moved to lossy conversion formats, the whole gambit. Okay, it is empirically, statistically better, -1 decibel true peak. Reality that we've faced as mastering engineers for a long time is that -0 decibel true peak or louder true peaks are better because people are chasing loudness. Now, my masters are still loud even though at -1 decibel true peak. Of 20-something masters that went out, guess how many people pushed back? Guess how many people said, Nick, this is a bad master because it's at -1 decibel true peak and not -0 or -0.2. 0. Nobody pushed back. But here's the kicker. Mentally in my head, I still feel like I need to do -0. And this is an issue. I want you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment. I learned this week that people don't really give a shit. I put my money where my mouth is and did it on projects for my clients, and everybody loved the results. Nobody pushed back. But in my head, in my twisted head, I'm still thinking, it has to be louder. What happens if there's that one customer who's just an absolute super artist producer who pushes back and says, Nick, you didn't deliver for me. It's 1 decibel softer. It's a mental thing. That's not a literal thing. The fact of the matter is nobody gave a shit. And that is in the data. It's not a huge data pool because I'm not going to run a test like this for an extended period of time. But I just thought it'd be an interesting finding to present you guys, the community. Now, I've had some other lessons this past couple of weeks. This was a good one. This was a really cool one. This was like, what the hell, does that even exist? Now, I'm not really in the world of Dolby Atmos. Not my thing, okay? In the new space, I'm pre-wiring for Dolby Atmos. It may be something I explore, but I'm still sort of like, well, I won't say still because it's been for the past 4 years I've been aware of it and been engaged in Dolby Atmos rooms and with people who do Dolby Atmos mixing. Anyway, I had an eye-opening moment. I was in... I was in Sydney Thursday, Friday. Neumann was running an event at Electric Avenue Studios. Stu Geddes and Steph Durant were hosting, like as in doing the masterclass, and they were speaking about Universal having their own specific set of deliverables for Dolby Atmos. Things like you can't have empty objects or empty objects in your ADM file, your LFE channel can't be greater than -20, all these specifications. And I'm thinking, they have a very specific, they're that stringent. I always knew -18 LUFS, -1 decibel true peak, but Universal, I actually Googled it, and they have their whole list of super specific requirements for their Dolby Atmos mixes on Universal Music. I thought I'd share this with you guys because I know some of you have Dolby Atmos setups. I don't mix in Dolby Atmos, but I thought it was interesting. So Google that, Dolby Atmos, Universal Dolby Atmos delivery specifications, and you'll find the document. That was something I thought I'd definitely share with you. The next thing, another lesson, was that with the mix prep, okay, now I've put this out in the newsletter, and if you're not part of the best newsletter for working audio pros, you should definitely be part of it. Links in the description. Join the best newsletter where everybody loves, like, the insights I give there are incredible. But anyway, I put out my mixing checklist in terms of my mix prep checklist my assistant uses. When I was out in Sydney speaking to other mixing engineers, we're all talking about the head fuck we get when productions get sent over and it's disorganized. And something I learned, and this is just something I thought, was that this only happened with producers who are less experienced. So producers who are less experienced send stuff off for mixing. It's an absolute mess. But that's not the case. At least from a lot of the people I was speaking with, they work on some pretty damn good projects, yet they're still receiving the same headaches at any level. So don't think it's just something that's exclusive to people who are starting out or not working with massive names. It is universal, okay? Poor organization. That said, credibility and respect is built when you do organize shit really well. One of the producers there was gloating, or just giving himself a pat on the back, and deservedly so. He should have, because he said, when I send my productions off or my recording sessions off for mixing, I make sure everything is labeled to a fucking T. It is an absolutely perfectly wrapped gift. And so he should pat himself on the back. I think that should be commended. But also, I will say this. As a mixing engineer, I recognize when producers put the effort in to organize shit properly. What it tells me a few things. It tells me this person cares about their work. This person cares about their client. This person cares about the final result, and it leaves a lasting impression in my head. So for producers out there prepping stuff to get sent out to mixing, remember that. Okay, how you send files across is how people will perceive and also interpret your working pedigree, how much you value yourself as a professional. Now, what's my last and final note here? Oh, this was the funniest note, okay? Now, this final lesson was that leaving the studio is dangerous. Yes, when I leave these four walls, it is a dangerous world out there. I'll explain why. When I'm working, I work really stringently to my clients' expectations. When it comes to deadlines, when it comes to fast turnarounds, they know. Not because they're demanding of me, but because they know Nick is always on his shit. He's always going to get things back to me in a jiffy. No stress. I leave the studio for 2 days. My emails fly off the hook. And this isn't to the detriment of the clients. This is just because when it rains, it pours. When I get a few inquiries, I get freaking dozens of inquiries. I've got so many mixes to listen to. I've got so many things to update. Everybody's pouring in my emails. And yeah, that was like for 2 days away from the studio. It was exceptionally difficult to manage. I ended up having to work the Saturday the day after I came back at the studio, which isn't something I really wanted to do, but sort of a necessity. And this is something that always happens, but I've never gotten good at managing. Good at managing. A bit hoarse in my throat there, sorry. Whenever I leave the studio, it is really hard to stay on top of my workload. I'm curious. How do you guys manage this? How do you guys manage, hey, I got a holiday, I got to go out, do some work, I'm going to be on the road, I want to take a break. How do you guys manage that in the midst of having studio work flow in? When I'm overseas, I usually bring my laptop, a pair of headphones. When I was in Sydney, I thought it's 2 days. I don't need to be working in my hotel room. It's 2 days. I'm going to go out and enjoy. Go enjoy Sydney. Go see the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Beautiful place to go see. But I was pretty stressed. I'll be honest. I was pretty stressed. I come back on Saturday. I'm stressed the hell out because I'm like, I need to work the weekend to catch up on 2 days off. Now, with all that said, let me know in the comments whether it's regarding -1 decibel true peak for delivery, universal Dolby Atmos, if you already knew about that, or if you didn't, that's a really interesting one. The mix delivery and mix prep, how do you prep stuff for when you send it out to another engineer? And also, when you leave your studio, what are you doing? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little vlog entry or diary into my world over the last 2 weeks, and we've got some fun stuff coming up on the channel, so keep eyes peeled. Take care.